Wampo. Wampo gets an S tier, and Wampo Botan gets a B tier. Probably the biggest jump between them, due to I have a Wampo normal and not a Wampo Botan. I use the Wampo normal. Reminds me of the Wampa from Star Wars. Probably just because of the name, I guess. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of My Neighbor Totoro. Is it called? I've never watched it, but I've seen the character Totoro. Yeah, I think it's My Neighbor Totoro or My Friend Totoro. Reminds me a little bit of that as well, but I don't really care. Gets an S tier. I like it. I don't care if anyone else doesn't. Warsect is probably the first S tier that I have never used. I really like the design of Warsect. It is probably the most literal showing of a beetle compared to Pokemon as well. Like, Pokemon's got Heracross and Pinsir that are both beetles, but Warsect looks sick, like, compared to both of them. And Heracross is one of my favorite Pokemon, so for me to say that Warsect looks better than Heracross, it definitely has to be up there in the S tier. Cobalion, sorry, that's the Pokemon. Fenglope gets a F. They literally just made a skinnier Cobalion, whatever it is. That's all they did. That's their design, so I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Cobalion. They didn't change it, so yeah, I don't like it. Felbat, I don't mind Felbat. Felbat gets a B. It's a decent design, and it's actually a lot shorter than you think. Like, the way it sits in these, it sits kind of like the same as a Wampo, but it's quite short, quite small. So I don't mind it. Not really useful. It's got medicine production level 3, but there's other ones that are better at it. So yeah. Quiverin. Quiverin's just a dragon, just a white dragon, fluffy white dragon. The boss is huge, like absolutely huge. But that's all it is. Kind of like an angel dragon in a way. Nothing bad about the design. Nothing too interesting about the design. I don't mind it. Blazer Mutt. Blazer Mutt gets an A. The design of this, same with the Blazer Howl. I'm not sure if they're related. They could be. It looks sick. That's all I can say. It's just like the design is sick. It's got Kindling level 3, Mining level 4, so it's useful later game especially. I don't have one. I'm still fairly early in the game. Hellzephyr. Hellzephyr is a solid B. I'm not a big fan of the pink on its head. The blue is sick, but the pink on its head looks a little weird, especially in game. I think they should change it to maybe a darker blue or even a purple. It just doesn't look right with pink, and pink being the hair and nothing else. So yeah. Astagon, I think it's called. How to pronounce it, I mean. Just looks like a Mega Aggron with wings. At least they changed it. It's not a bad design, I don't mind it. You can definitely see where they've got the inspiration from, but they did change it. Got Mining level 4, It's not too bad. Later game, I don't have one, so yeah, it's not bad at all. Now Menasting. Menasting is a sick design. I really like the design. It's weird that you can breed a Menasting with Relaxosaurus and Grisbolt, I think it is, to make a Menasting. Yeah, no, it's Mossander and Blazer Mutt is what I was thinking of, which is that one and that one. I don't know how these two make that. There is other ways of breeding it as well, like Penking and something else. I just looked at it and I can't even remember it. It is weird, but a lot of the other like combinations are weirder as well. So I don't know. The breeding in this game is kind of stupid, but you can't really say too much. It is very early access, so yeah. Anubis. I'm not a big fan of Anubis. I don't like its name. There is no changing it. It's straight up just Anubis, which is the Egyptian god of death. Looks a lot like Lucario. I love Lucario. It's just a worse version of Lucario. There's no changing it. It just looks like a new. I can't think of what the dog's called, but it's an Anubis dog with Egyptian clothes. That's all they've done. Or a Lucario with Egyptian clothes. Even that. I'm not a fan. At least it's like a little bit more interesting design than these ones, so it does get a D tier, but I don't really like it. Yormantide. Yormantide's kind of like a Gyarados, but like you can't really say it is Gyarados. I think they should have changed the color for the normal one, because Gyarados is white, blue, and yellow. So if they had to change the color, it would look nothing like it. But I think it's just the color to make everyone think it's like Gyarados. I like it, but I like the red version a little bit more. Yormantide. So the name is taken after Jormungandr, the world serpent in Norse mythology. So it gets a little bit more of a higher tier because of the name as well. I love Gyarados. Gyarados is one of my favorite Pokemon. I've used it countless amount of times. So I wouldn't say it's better than Gyarados, but it's definitely good in its own way. So it gets an A for the Ignis version and B for the normal version. Suzaku. Suzaku, they're just weird AI creatures. I think they were AI as well. Like, the wings are out of place. They flap weird in-game. Like, they flap upwards, not downwards, if you know what I mean. Weird. Just weird creatures. But they are completely original. So, I like that in a way. They get a C tier. It's not a bad design. They're just weird. That's why they're not higher. Grisbolt is fat Electabuzz. I like the boss with Zoe, which is the first boss, like major boss that you fight. So it gets a C due to the boss, but it's just a fat Electabuzz basically. So there's not a big change in that. Now, Layleen. Layleen is an S tier, and Layleen Noct is an A tier. Now, hear me out. I know it looks identical to Gardevoir, except with Lilligant's color scheme, and looks a little bit like Lilligant in a way as well. But they made Gardevoir a little bit more better looking, like Mega Gardevoir especially, a little bit more better looking than the normal Gardevoir. And I love Gardevoir. Gardevoir is my third favorite Pokemon. If you look at one of my previous videos, it is my third favorite Pokemon of all time. they did really well on the design of this to make it not identical to them, but like identical enough to. I don't know how to explain it very well because I really like the design. It looks like Gardevoir with Lilligant's color scheme, which I really like because I like Gardevoir. I don't know. I'm comparing it because I like Gardevoir. If I didn't like Gardevoir, it's pretty much an F tier because it's a Gardevoir. So, yeah, there's that. Um, Next one is Phalaris. Phalaris is a B tier. Looks a lot like Ragnarhawk, just not as good. Looks like a Ragnarhawk with gold armor, which I don't really like. Like it's there's nothing bad about the design. I'm just comparing it to Ragnarhawk because it looks a lot like Ragnarhawk. And I like Ragnarhawk a little bit more of design, so adding the gold just doesn't look right, in my opinion. Obviously, all of this is my opinion, obviously. Orzhok. Orzhok is a C. It's an I don't know. I've heard that it looks like a Garchomp, maybe a little bit. Now that it's been like, if I wasn't told, I wouldn't have thought of it. But because people have said it, I can kind of see what they're talking about. An electric Garchomp. So yeah, it's not too bad. Like, I don't mind it. It's a little bit ugly looking in a way. Level 4 generating electricity is pretty useful later on in the game. Shadowbeak. Again, another one that I've been told looks like is it Sylvani? Type Null and Sylvani, something like that. The head especially. I actually not a big fan of design as a whole. I think it looks a little ugly. If it was bipedal, not quadrupedal, it'd look a little bit better. Not useful at all. Has no work suitability pretty much at all. Level 1 gathering, that's it. So it's not useful at all. And I don't like the design, so it gets a D. Palladius gets a B, and Necromus gets a B as well. They're just paladin centaurs. Nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it. It's kind of cool. I do like the Necromus a little bit more than the Palladius, but not enough to bump it up to A tier. They both have level 2 lumbering and level 2 mining, so you can't distinguish them in usability either. Not too, like, you catch them later on in the game, they're not too good either. Like, there's a lot better ones for mining and lumbering, so not as useful, but cool designs, they get a B. Frostallion and Frostallion Noct. Frostallion and Frostallion Noct. The Noct version gets a B. The normal version gets a. I don't like the gold and purple. If they did like a pink and purple or a blue and purple on the black, it'd look a lot better than the gold. I think the gold doesn't suit it, whereas the blue and grey suit the white. So I like it a little bit more than the Noct version. You can both ride them. You can ride both of them. Sorry, you can fly on them. The normal version has level 4 cooling. The Noct version has level 4 Gathering. And last but not least, Jetragon. Jetragon, I'm not a big fan. Just to see, like, for the last boss, or it's made out the last boss, number 111 on the Pal Dex, it's kind of boring. Kind of reminds me of a Salamence as well. So, yeah, it's a little bit boring. I'm not a big fan. But yeah, this is my list. If you like it, please tell me in the comments. If you don't like it, tell me in the comments. But don't be nasty, because it's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, piss off. Simple as that. Alright. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks.